Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to, cut through the noise and get to what really matters. Today, we're looking at some potentially pretty big shifts in the tech world, specifically how we might find information online soon and what that means for the giants like Google and Apple.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Search is so fundamental to how we use the internet.
Hmm.
And now the idea that AI could, well, fundamentally change that whole model, that's huge.
Right, and it's not just theoretical anymore. We're hearing things, high-level discussions happening. Feels like something's really brewing, with big consequences. Okay, so let's unpack this. What's really sparking this conversation right now seems to be comments from someone senior at Apple.
Exactly. It's Eddie Q, Apple's services chief.
Mm.
And he wasn't like hedging his bets. He basically said he believes AI search engines will eventually replace standard ones like Google.
Replace them entirely. That's a bold statement.
It is. And he mentioned Apple is actually looking into adding AI services.
Mhm.
Think OpenAI,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, also Perplexity AI, Anthropic.
As options within Safari.
Potentially, yeah. Integrating them right into the browser experience. That's what's being considered.
Wow. Okay, but the context here is pretty important too, right? This wasn't just some random interview.
Not at all. This came up during his testimony in federal court as part of that big U.S. Justice Department lawsuit against Alphabet, Google's parent company.
Ah, right. The one focused on Google's dominance in ad tech.
Precisely. And a key part of that case is Google paying companies, like Apple, huge amounts of money, to be the default search engine. The DOJ says that locks out competitors.
Okay, so Q says this in that context. That adds weight. And it leads us straight to the impact on Google, on Alphabet. Because their stock definitely reacted after Q's comments came out. A noticeable drop, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Around 8 or 9%, I think it was significant. The market is clearly nervous about anything threatening Google's search dominance.
Makes sense. Search ads are their bread and butter.
Exactly. So if a huge partner like Apple starts seriously considering AI alternatives, and if users actually start, using those AI tools instead of standard search.
That directly hits Google's traffic and their revenue.
Right. And remember, this is layered on top of the existing lawsuit, which already challenges those default payment deals.
The ones where Google pays Apple? What was the figure?
Billions.
Billions, yeah. Some reports put the 2022 figure as high as $20 billion, just for Apple devices.
$20 billion. Wow.
So you can see why any threat to that arrangement or the underlying search volume makes investors jumpy. Q even admitted he's lost sleep over the potential loss of that revenue share from Google.
Lost sleep, huh? Okay, so it's clearly a big deal for Apple's bottom line, too, which makes it interesting that Apple's stock also dipped a bit, maybe 2%, even though they get all that Google money. Why?
That's the other side of the coin. It's not just about the Google payments. There was another interesting nugget from Q's testimony. He apparently mentioned that searches on Safari actually declined recently in April, for the first time ever.
Declined? Really? Why?
He attributed it to the rise of AI, people maybe going straight to AI tools for answers, bypassing the browser search bar. So even if Apple is the default gateway via Safari, if people aren't searching that way as much.
Exactly. The value of that default spot might diminish over time if user behavior fundamentally shifts towards AI.
Got it. So Apple gets huge money from Google now, but they might be seeing the writing on the wall, thinking, okay, maybe AI is the next thing. We need to explore that too.
It certainly looks that way, balancing present profit with future strategy.
So this isn't just boardroom drama. This shift, if it happens, could change how all of us use the internet. What does the bigger picture look like for, regular users?
Well, think about it. Your whole experience of finding information could change. Instead of getting a list of blue links you have to click through and evaluate,
Yeah.
you might just ask a question and get a direct synthesized answer from an AI.
Like having a conversation to find information.
Sort of, yeah. Potentially much faster, more direct for certain types of queries, like getting a quick summary or a specific fact.
It does sound efficient.
It could be. But it also raises, other questions like, where does the AI get its information? How reliable is it? Is it biased?
And what happens to all the websites that rely on people clicking links from Google?
That's a huge question. The whole online advertising ecosystem is largely built around that traditional search model.
Right. If traffic patterns change dramatically, businesses will feel that.
Definitely. It's a potential disruption on multiple levels. Less clicking links, maybe more direct AI interaction.
It's a lot to think about. Exciting, maybe a little unsettling too.
Okay, this whole deep dive into how we might find info online, it's brought to you by StoneFly.
That's right. StoneFly, they've been innovators in data center solutions for gosh, over 24 years now. They really focus on helping businesses manage and protect their data, which is, absolutely critical today.
For sure. And they offer a really wide range of stuff. High-performance IT infrastructure, we're talking cloud solutions, storage, backup, and disaster recovery, even hyper-converged systems. And it's all powered by their own patented operating system, Stone Fusion. It's designed for flexibility, reliability, making sure your data works for you wherever you need it.
Yeah, they get that keeping data safe and available is just, well, essential.
And speaking of keeping data safe, they have some really interesting specific products too, like their 100 TB, immutable, and air-gapped SSO NACE.
Okay, break that down. Immutable, air gap.
Right, so immutable means the data, once written, can't be changed or deleted. It's certified for compliance regulations, which is huge for protection against ransomware, for instance.
Okay, can't be messed with.
Exactly. And air-gapped means there's a physical or logical separation from the network. It's like building a moat around your data to defend against cyber threats.
So extra layers of security, and it's a 100 terabyte system.
Yeah, 100 TB capacity, and they offer that specific appliance for $8,995. Pretty compelling for that level of protection and capacity.
Definitely something businesses should look into. Okay, so wrapping our heads around all this, what's the main takeaway from today's discussion?
I think it's that we're genuinely on the edge of maybe a real evolution in online information. AI seems poised to play a much bigger role, and that could really shake up the status quo, the relationships between these massive tech companies.
Yeah, the Google-Apple dynamic, the whole search ad model, it could all look very different.
Absolutely. And that leads to a thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If AI does become your main way of searching, your primary info tool, how does that change the kind of information you end up seeing?
Right. Does it narrow your view, broaden it? What sources get prioritized?
And which online businesses thrive in that new world and which ones struggle? It's a really interesting question to consider as this develops.
Definitely food for thought, a rapidly changing digital world. And in that world, securing your data is key. Remember that StoneFly offering? The 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for $8,995 all. A solid option for protection. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope it gave you some useful context on these trends. Keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on the deep dive.